let's talk a little bit about what investors should be buying heading into the new year. So do you expect any ETFs to break out in 2020? What's going to be a breakout ETF?
Well,
what's going to surprise people?
I think it's going to be something like an OIH, because
oil services.
Very contrarian.
I love that call. I love it. Go ahead.
I mean,
say why.
Think about the underperformance we've had. So just, in terms of, we're probably at a 3 standard deviation move relative to the S&P, the underperformance. You've got some of the you've got AAA rated companies, you've got A-rated companies, I should say, in Schlumberger, Halliburton, some of the big oil services companies. But we're finally seeing rig counts start to make a move. We're seeing offshore spending on oil and upstream is starting to improve. I think it's not just Saudi Aramco IPO, but I think you've started to see some working through of base oil prices. I think it's a place where the companies are finally making money again.
Any surprises? Any breakouts that you think are going to happen in 2020?
Yeah, I think if we get a correction or something happens to the market, people look for defensive names. Something like gold, I think will come back in a big way. There's obviously been a lot of interest in that, but right now with the market still doing well, people are still focused on pro-cyclical, market-based strategies, and I think that if there is a pullback or some correction, you could get gold coming back.
And you still like emerging markets too. I know you brought that up earlier.
Well, they kind of go with gold. They kind of go with miners. They kind of go with oil services. But it comes down to having some opportunity. If you think about the EEM, 40% of that is China, right? In 2019, the renminbi was a major headwind. But 45% of Asia's GDP is pegged to the renminbi. I think, especially in a world where we get a trade deal, dollar weakens a bit, takes a lot of pressure off of the Asian currencies. And EM, if you think about the top weights in there, you've got Samsung, you've got Tencent, you've got Alibaba. Alibaba is breaking out over a multi-year range, and I think the fundamentals are very strong there.
It's a very smart move to dual list it in Hong Kong. Ever since they announced that, it's been moving up. It's, I don't know, what, 2% of the volume is wagging 98% of the dog.
Yeah.
It's amazing. There's a lot of retail people, 600 million.
It was 40 times oversubscribed in that local listing 3 weeks ago.
Bananas.
To the local
ridiculously small float.
I'll take a bit of a flyer here. I think this is going to be a big year for cannabis ETFs. I'm not going to pick one. No, I'm serious. So look, we've had a lot of we've talked a lot about it, but it's been a rough year for most of the cannabis investments. And I think that in 2020 we're going to see a continued push towards legalization around the world. The companies that are in these funds right now, I think, are going to get overpriced very quickly, and we're going to see a lot more companies come to play.
Here's how I can support David without being, as a guy who runs the cannabis ETF full disclosure.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
No, but it's important because, my view is that the size of the addressable market has grown. I just came back from 3 days at the MJ Biz, the industry conference. The companies themselves, you're starting to see separation of the performers and the non-performers. You're starting to see capital markets dynamics come to work. So there's no question about the efficacy, what's happening in the sector. The question is, are these companies right now you can invest in?